What's up, the squad? Back with another video. Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in and watching this reaction. Make sure y'all check out the last video that was dropped, as well as the lives that was dropped yesterday. Definitely was, interesting time. A lot of people mistaken of me necessarily talking. I gave a little bit of my views on different things, but it was mainly for to see what my dad's views was as he being a Democrat. And it was interesting. I love to hear what other people have to say about their views and what, it is without arguing, without that. And that's just how I was taught. So just to hear somebody out. But make sure y'all just go check that video out. Definitely much love to everybody, giving that love, giving those shout outs, the likes, y'all super chats, y'all comments, the emails, everything. I definitely appreciate y'all. But had to get in this video. I got this video sent and immediately had to see what was going on with this video itself. But make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate everybody. Let's get in the video.
Over the past 24 hours, we've seen a record number of illegal immigrants pouring across the border in the United States and in Europe. It's being called an invasion. I don't know what else you would call it when you see these images. Or an act of war, perhaps, as others are calling it in Italy. Why are governments, by the way, not stopping this? Why are they just allowing this to happen? One has to wonder if this is not all part of a larger plan, of course, and we know that the answer, it's a rhetorical question because we already know that answer is exactly part of a larger plan. So why would the United States allow 6,000, think about this for a second, here's a thought piece. Would the United States allow 6,000 armed Russian soldiers to invade our southern border every day? What do you guys think? Every day, 6,000 armed Russian soldiers pour across the border. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Would we allow that to happen?
I mean, in theory, I want to say no, but I put nothing past our current government. I guess
now they'd be like, well, okay, maybe they're fleeing Putin. Even though they're armed, we'll welcome them in. You're right. Maybe that's the mindset.
If they're dressed in drag and pantsless, maybe.
But I mean, I was trying to think of who, maybe Iranians, what is our biggest enemy? Like North Korean soldiers? I mean, I don't know, right? But anyway, think about that in terms of soldiers armed coming across the border, military age men, 6,000 of them per day, because that's basically what's happening. That's how many people per day are now pouring across the United States border. 6,000.
And somehow they have weapons. Like when I was reacting to the video in New York, the hotel, people were saying that they had weapons in those hotel rooms. So it's pretty, I mean,
on a slow day, by the way, because numbers are far in excess of that on other days. Could it all be part of a United Nations plan, a World Economic Forum plan? We'll have more on that in a second. But first to Europe. Overnight, thousands more illegal migrants arriving by boat, pouring onto the streets of Italy, in Lampedusa, Italy. These are just the images overnight. And just remarkable here, you can see how many people pouring into off this boat, and they don't have any room for them anymore. This is on top of the tens of thousands that already arrived over the past.
Bro, are they fighting, bro? Oh, bro, they're fighting down here. They're fighting.
Them anymore. This is on top of the tens of thousands that already arrived over the past few days. You can see fights breaking out, of course, not only from locals, but amongst themselves, in these crowds. Illegals now outnumber the small population 4-1. So the natives that live on this island are like, what the heck? What the heck? And a lot of the natives have been relatively gracious. I mean, they've come out and offered food and stuff and so forth to these people. They've set up tents and all of that. But it's now taking over. And now they're taking over the government control, establishing their own form of government. That's known as an invasion, by the way.
It's almost like, I apologize. It's almost like somebody's getting blackmailed or something. Like something ain't right. Something ain't right.
Roadblocks set up. You can see these roadblocks set up now and blocking police access so police can't do anything to stop it. I mean, this is by all accounts, an invasion. When you have people taking over main roadways and not allowing police to go through, you're not in charge anymore. I'm reminded of it's It's like Bane in Dark Knight Rises, you know, and what's his name puts his hand on his shoulder. He's like, oh, he's like, you think you're in charge?
Yeah.
You're not in charge, you know.
Right.
And that's you're not in charge anymore. You're not in charge anymore, guys. So they've set up these roadblocks. Here is how the BBC is describing it overnight, that this is an act of war against the people.
I'm not gonna lie, he did a really good Bane impression. That was good. That was good.
Of Italy. Watch.
Not since the crisis in 2015 has Europe seen images quite like this. The Deputy Prime Minister describes it as an invasion.
So they going to Europe too?
It is obviously organised, financed and prepared. It is an act.
I don't know why I went in this thinking that they was just talking about the United. They going to Europe. This get crazy.
If we go on at 6,000 migrants a day, it means collapse for Italian society. I said it at the beginning. What is happening in Lampedusa is the death of Europe.
7,000 migrants crossing the Mediterranean in just 3 days.
Meanwhile, French journalist in Lampedusa admits that the EU politician. But let me just go back a second. You heard him say it's coordinated and it's financed. Now that, to people who are just like tuning in, have never seen this before, you might think to yourself, oh, that's just conspiracy theory, right? That no, it's not. We've shown you the money trail. We've shown you the receipts on this show.
It feels crazy.
It feels crazy, and it feels like that can't possibly be. Like, who's financing this? Where's the money coming from? Well, guess what? The money is coming from these global elites. The money is flowing to these individuals as they pour across the borders. They're being financed so that they come in and are part of a migration pattern that is a replacement for the lack of population in these areas so that they can continue to make money, use slave labor, put them in factories, manufacturing. So a French journalist, this is pretty amazing, he's in Lampedusa, and he's interviewing as many people as he can. And the EU politicians who were there told him not to film or interview the immigrants. They told him just film their feet. Don't show their faces. Don't film them. Don't interview them. Don't talk to them. And they admitted on camera that they're only there for economic reasons. They told him, the EU politicians telling him, they're only here for economic reasons. They're not fleeing any war zone. Although that's the cover story. We're telling you that they're fleeing war zones. And the refugees. And these EU politicians are telling this French journalist, they're not refugees. They're here for economic reasons. We're giving them visas. We're planning on putting them into the system. That's the whole point of this. Watch.
Ouais, il vient de m'arriver quelque chose d'un peu fou, c'est que en fait, j'étais tout simplement en train d'interviewer les migrants depuis tout à l'heure, et il y a une dame du coup qui travaille pour l'Union européenne qui est venue me voir en m'expliquant que j'avais pas le droit de filmer les visages de ces migrants-là. Et pourquoi? Parce qu'elle me dit que en fait, beaucoup sont en procédure de visa parce qu'ils viennent de zones de guerre. Depuis le début, vous l'avez vu, les personnes souvent qui parlent francophone, les personnes francophones disent qu'elles viennent qu'elles ne fuient pas la guerre, mais qu'elles viennent pour des raisons économiques. Et quel est l'argument de cette dame? Elle me dit oui, mais le problème derrière, c'est que lorsqu'on va instruire leur demande de visa, l'ambassade, eh bien, elle va voir le screenshot de votre vidéo et ils vont dire mais vous avez dit à un journaliste que vous veniez pas pour fuir la guerre, mais que vous veniez d'abord pour des raisons économiques, donc nous vous donnons pas ce visa. Et donc je trouve ça assez scandaleux en fait. En plus, elle essaie de me...
That doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, why, bro? I'm just confused. I'm like, listen. I feel like everybody took it as a joke when, and called Trump, the R word when, closing the border and closing this closed, you know what I'm saying? Getting that. What people fail to realize is that I look back and I just got into politics, 3-4 months ago. I look back and I see that, Trump, when he was in office, we didn't have near as many problems as we do now. Okay, let me scratch that. Hopefully I don't cancel for this. This is probably the worst that I've seen. I'm doing research and still, and I've seen some bad things, doing research, seeing stuff. But things right now is so much stuff happening after, just keep on happening. I started off reacting to, 3-4 months ago about, political things, what this stands for, and what this is. And mind you, this 3-4 months ago. history on this. We're talking about this and this topic, this one topic. They had this one topic we was talking about. And maybe, I don't know if I just got so deep into it. But it's like reacting to that and then react to little stuff, that's going on around the cities. And then now it's like, boom, we have a big topic and another big topic and a big topic. And it's all negative. It's all negative. That's affecting the United States. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. Why? Like, we need somebody in office that's really going to do what's needed to do for the United States, because right now it's looking ugly. It's looking real ugly.
Well, in what way?
Well, she's saying they are here to claim themselves as war refugees, and because they might say on camera that they're there for economic reasons, it would
undermine the narrative,
their refugee status.
Exactly. Right. Because under UN or under EU charter, right, you can't come out and say that. You can't come out and say, I mean, it's actually a very broad, this is something that Nigel Farage, of course, has been slamming in the UK for a long time, like the overly broad definitions of who gets to be claimed, given asylum, who gets to be claimed as a refugee, and then given government subsidies and has provided healthcare and has provided, housing and given all of these other things.
Right.
So your designation, you need to make sure you're saying certain things. You cannot say that you're here for economic reasons, that you're just here because someone was how do all of these people wind up on one boat in a coordinated landing in Lampedusa? Now, of course, these immigrants are now being bussed through other parts of Italy and then into other parts of Europe. So I've seen videos in Bologna overnight and other areas where they're getting in fights and clashing with police and then clashing amongst themselves from different countries and different rival gangs. This is about censorship. This is about misinformation. The EU politicians are telling him, don't tell the truth. They're telling journalists, don't tell the truth about what's actually happening here.
Exactly.
In the U.S. now, we're seeing new video over the past 24 hours, trainloads of illegals being brought into the United States. These unbelievable images. Fox News got their hands on this.
Bro, I'm about to end this video.
And you can see
and they happy too. I'm talking about excited, like it's Disney World.
Pouring into, and you don't see any, by the way, you don't see any kids. You don't see any single moms. These are all military-aged men. These are all young men coming in.
And that should be scary to a lot of people, though. Y'all make sure y'all got what y'all need. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Make sure y'all got it. This is getting nuts. Pause. The whole fact of just what he said, no women, no children. These boys...
you can slow the video down, and
That's
you can see.
not safe.
You can see
to ride on the outside of a train. Don't do that.
I think that's the least of their worries right now. So one of the largest mass illegal crossings we've ever seen took place, according to Bill Malugin, last night in Eagle Pass, Texas, with Border Patrol telling that over 2,200 people crossed there since midnight. It happened right next to the port of entry as illegal immigrants continue to ignore the Biden administration's message of do not come and do not fear the promised consequences for crossing illegally. Unbelievable as they come in. Just take a look at some of the videos here of the border, and you can see this is an Eagle Pass. Just thousands being bussed in, brought in, coming in by train, coming in by bus, being let right through the border wall.
Bro, like, what is going on? How do I screenshot this again, y'all? I gotta see this. Like, like this right here. This stuff is getting out of hand. This is, I don't even, what do we got? I think it's this right here, y'all. I had to, cause this right here, this is insane. On the bus with the bags ready to go, and as you can see, you don't see no type of like children and that's the crazy thing too. You putting two and two together. What the little ones at? They ain't these little, you got these the store. You got these like camps and stuff, and then this is all like just messed up. Like so much stuff is like messed up. let me get, it's one of those, it's like a trade or something. This is scary. Like, I'm confused.
It's remarkable. And this is happening right in broad daylight, and it's happening in the dark of night. Being given money, being given refuge, being bussed away into other parts of the United States. I just can't. And this, by the way, is a new record. So when the Biden administration says that the border is secure, that everything is fine, nothing to see here, they're flat out lying, of course. And the mainstream media is ignoring it because they don't want to hurt President Biden or the Democrats' chances.
No, in fact, President Biden is in New York City speaking to the United Nations. Mayor Eric Adams there is like, hey, I've been trying to get on your schedule. We are collapsing here. How about you come and have a talk with me?
Waiting on the
to which the president's
video,
people have completely been ghosting him. Imagine that. You are the mayor of New York City, one of the biggest mayors in the country, and you cannot get on the president's radar when your city is collapsing. But he is fine to go there and make pedantic lectures in front of the United Nations.
Or rambling, mumbling lectures. I mean, he literally didn't make any sense, stood at the podium and went off and had some total mental collapse yesterday in front of the United Nations. So I don't know what the hell he's even talking about. No one does. And
so maybe that conversation with Mayor Eric Adams wouldn't be very productive anyway.
What's he going to say? Because, well, I know what the mayor of Eagle Pass might say. So Ronaldo Salinas has now declared a state of emergency in his city. Maybe he'd say the same thing as Eric Adams. Listen.
So because it has taken a toll on our resources, we are declaring this declaration so that we can get resources from the state, from the federal government, anywhere. We are limited here, so this will help. So the disaster declaration reads as follows. Whereas on September 18, 2023, the city of Eagle Pass, Texas, experienced a severe undocumented immigrant surge into the city from Mexico. And whereas approximately 800 to 900 undocumented immigrants crossed from Mexico into the United States through the city's train bridge.
So,
and whereas
then it goes on to describe the numbers coming in over the past 24 hours. So borders are collapsing all over the Western world right now. It's all part of this globalist plan using the UN as a tool for this. Of course, the UN a number of years ago laid the groundwork for this, for migrants to be pushed into the United States and Europe. And oddly, the mainstream media is totally quiet about this issue. A new report out, we covered it here in the newsletter just a short time ago, about the Brookings Institution, that a majority of Americans will not be white by the year 2045. The influx will change it dramatically in the United States. And so when people talk about white replacement theory, like, that's got to be a conspiracy theory. No, I mean, you can spin it any way you want, but that's exactly what's going to happen. So the majority population in the United States will not be white. That's already, it's about to happen. The numbers bear that out. And you can read all about it in the United Nations' own documents, for crying out loud. All you need to do is go to the UN's website and read all about replacement migration patterns and exactly what they plan and what will benefit the United Nations. I mean, if you just go through these documents, it's right there. The United Nations says they want basically over 600 million migrants brought to the United States, 500 million brought to Europe. I mean, they break it down by country. You can read it in every language you want. You can read it in German, you can read it in English, you can read it in Japanese. It doesn't matter. You can read it all right here in the United Nations report. Here's just one highlight here, the scenario 3 that keeps the size of the total population of Europe constant at its maximum. This is just one scenario, they say, of 728 million people, and calculates the number of migrants that would be required in order to prevent the decline of the population in the face of increasing excess of deaths or overbirths. The calculations show that a net total of 100 million migrants would be required during the period of 1995 to 2050 just to maintain the total population of Europe at its 1995 level. This corresponds to an average of approximately 1.8 million net migrants per year. By 2050, out of a total population of 728 million, 120...
I'm sorry, I'm not saying that. I was just like, what? Like,
7 million, or close to 18%, would be post-1995 immigrants or their descendants. This is one scenario that they lay out. I could go through all of them, but you can read it for yourself.
And yet, when we present information that shows that there is a birth gap and declining populations, that's called transphobic
or
hateful or homophobic or whatever. So there clearly is, I mean, this is like, so then you have no social cohesion, right? Like you can say you're all for immigration, which is great, when there are sort of steps in order to make sure that people can live together. This is like, we don't care. We literally don't care.
No, we don't. And as Michael Yon, I spoke to him, he just said, like, look, Japan, get ready for Japan to have the same issue. You haven't really heard about it, but it's about to happen. Japan, of course, has a massive birth gap problem, massive declining population. And so this is all part of a coordinated plan. Inundate these particular countries, these Western countries that need manufacturing, that need slave labor, essentially, and totally flood them with migrants. Totally flood them with migrants from Africa and Asia and push them into these areas. Dissolve borders. That's exactly what the World Economic Forum wants. Dissolved borders, unipolar order. This is all part of the plan. And it's right in their documents, for crying out loud. It's right in their freaking documents. And just listen to Klaus Schwab publicly talk about it. You don't need to like be conspiratorial about it. They said it and they published it. We first brought you the stories of the colonias in Texas a few months ago. Michael Yon actually covered that story for us and went up in a helicopter and showed us these colonias being built in Texas, how these massive neighborhoods are constructed using taxpayer dollars to house and feed illegal immigrants. We're giving them homes.
We're done. I literally, like, for the people out there that support you know who, bro, your tax dollars is paying for homes, food, clothes, all this, all that, boom, bam, all that, and we struggling for gas. I'm talking about everything. People out here really struggling. We are struggling, and then we have people, you paying that out of your bread. You going to work. I want that for the people that ain't understand. Say you going to work. You going to work, right? Busting. I'm talking about dealing with attitudes, dealing with, it's people that's out here got to deal with these little bad little kids. It's people out here really dealing with some stuff. Really dealing with it. Having bad days, sick days. You got children to come home back to and having to get them together and having to get back up in the morning or at night just for all of this to pay for some illegal immigrants. Man, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe. But definitely appreciate everybody. Other videos y'all want me to check out, make sure y'all DM me on Instagram, LifeWithRecklezz, or email me, LifeWithRecklezz@yahoo.com. You already know what's going down. Much love to everybody. Thank y'all for everything that y'all do. Catch y'all next one.